and welcome to the Law of Positivism podcast. I'm your host, Shireen, and I'm the creator of Law of Positivism. I'm here to help you on your spiritual and healing journey. I am a certified yoga and meditation teacher, a student of Chinese medicine, a doula, a Reiki practitioner, and a passionate, highly sensitive person. I want to use my knowledge to channel information and messages for you to grow on all levels. Hi, and welcome to the 20th episode of the Law of Positivism podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I'm so excited to share this week's episode with all of you. I have the amazing, beautiful, and just magical duo Deva Premal and Miten on this episode, and we dive deep into the power of sound and mantras. So I've written about mantras before on my Instagram, Law of Positivism, and just to break it down for you who has never heard about what a mantra is, it's actually a sacred sound that is used as a tool to reach something within or around us that can elevate us, that can help us meditate, and it's truly healing. And Deva Premal and Miten, I'm sure you have gotten in touch with their music, their mantras. I know I have been just listening to them for years and years now, and been to these big gatherings and concerts, and I think this is a great conversation for all of you to learn a little bit more about mantras. Deva Premal and Miten are just beautiful beings that have shared so much light with the world, and they have touched the lives of millions of people, and they tour all over the world and host different festivals and gatherings, and they unite people through sound and music. And they have been featured on top media such as the Wall Street Journal, the Los Angeles Times, and the Huffington Post, and has been endorsed by celebrities such as Cher, Tony Robbins, and Dalai Lama. So in this episode, we talk all about mantras and meditation. Also, how sound really can alter our physical presence and also our energetic body and everything around us. We tap into a little bit into epigenetics and Bruce Lipton's work, and we talk about mantras that you can start with if you have never used mantras. And the beautiful Deva Premal also sings her beloved Gayatri mantra, which is so blessing and so beautiful, and I'm just filled with love and joy, and I'm super grateful for their presence, and I'm happy that you're here to listen. So just enjoy.
Hello. Hey.
Hi, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sherry. That's nice.
I'm so blessed and happy to have you here in this conversation. I'm really happy about just taking the time and sharing your work and life and passion with all of us. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm happy to share, because especially now with the way the internet is, it's just incredible. I don't know whether you know, but Deva and I went live on Facebook for the first 7 days of January, and we chanted the Gayatri mantra live on every day for 7 days at the same time, and 100,000 people joined us around the world. Wow. Those kind of things make just blows my mind, really, that we can be connected in this way. So yeah, I'm happy to have a chat with you. You're up in Sweden, right?
Yes, so we're very far away right now. You're in
Oh,
Australia, but
yeah,
it's
we're down
amazing.
under.
Yeah, it's so amazing, like you said, that we can connect, and that's where more unity and more connection is made between all of us. So I'm really excited, and I'm super happy to have you here. And you and me are gonna start, and then I'll talk to Deva. And I always ask, the first question I ask is always, how do you stay mindful and present?
Uh-huh. Well, for me, it's the music, you know. It's the music, and this life that Deva and I have been given by Osho 30 years ago.
Mm.
it it just, you know, there just came a point when there was just no kind of uh, vacation from the moment and being in the here and now. It was just, that's what the mantras gave me, and that's what the music has given me since I learned how to play real music in Osho's ashram. So for me, the music is important, and also to stop and sit, meditate. That's that's the other key for me, you know, because that's the time when you, for me anyway, where I purposely don't move a muscle for an hour. I just sit for an hour, and because that's where you can move into a deeper space of meditation, you know. And 10 minutes, 20 minutes is good, but the reason so many people don't meditate is that it's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy to sit and for an hour and not move when you know your mind is telling you there's a million things you could be doing. And the real core of our existence is to connect with our inner world and our inner um, the source. And so you know, to sit for an hour like that, whether there's an itch or not, you get into a space of, you know, you kind of experience death, because you can experience uh, you can experience something that's not you, and it's not your name, that is not the body that you're inhabiting. You become in touch with spatial awareness, you know. And so that's my key, and that's where the music comes from. It comes always from a silent space, you know, like when you probably noticed when me and Deva played,
Mm.
we can come onto the stage, but we don't make any sound until we sit for a while, and everybody begins to settle down into a space of receptivity and participation. And then when Deva's ready, she feels the silence is there inside. Then she begins, and then the music can take us. When the mantra finishes, when we've been on the journey of a mantra, and we've come back to the silence, we find that the silence is deeper than the silence that we left. And that's how it works with the mantras and the concerts, that by the end of the concert, concert's a strange word because it's really not a concert. We don't perform. We have no real set a program or anything like that, you know. So it's very spontaneous, and it responds to the moment. And on that level, there's not really any performer and audience. There's just a gathering of a spirit. It's just a spiritual gathering in the town of Stockholm in that particular
Mm.
night, and so we can all move into a, you know, into a space. Really, for me, inner peace is like, it's a beautiful term, and it really uh, it, it really encourages us to acknowledge that the only thing that we need to be able to do in this life is to befriend our inner self so that we feel comfortable in our skin, in our body, you know. And meditation can do that for us, you know. It can, what we look for when we meditate. My guru used to say, if it's not joyful, it's not meditation. So there's a way of looking into the space with gratitude, and you know, like I'm stumbling a bit now because I've lost my thread thinking about Osho saying about gratitude and joy. But yeah, the music comes out of silence, and it comes back into silence in a deeper way. That's the gift. That's real music, you know, like the music that's made for sexual, energetic excitement, or emotional tears, or reminiscence, or protest. All this music that is made within those contexts, they address the emotion, the emotive part of our brain and our heart. But the mantras, they are beyond emotion. You know, it's like you can't emote and sing a mantra. It's ridiculous if you can imagine that. So, you know, in Deva's case, she was born to the sound of mantra. Her father, you know, and she was given a mantra all through her childhood as a little girl growing up, and it's the mantras are in her. So when she chants, I every night, every time we play, I'm absolutely touched. When she begins the concerts with a cappella and just like naked, open, and vulnerable, and it's a beautiful moment for me every single night. You know, I'm a lucky guy. What to do?
Yeah, and your music has really touched millions of people, and you guys are with me all the time as well. And I always have to have your music when we're practicing, and yeah, just in different spaces. It creates, like you said, it's like a vibration, and it is, there is a beauty between the silence and the sound, and sound is so powerful. We don't think about how important our voice is, or how important hearing different frequencies and vibrations are, because it's a tool for us. That's why we have a voice. And
That's right.
yeah, and it can really awaken something within us. And I always start and close off a yoga class with a chant, even if it's a short, small chant. But it does something, and it also challenges us to use our voice, because many of us have never used our voice more than talking. So I think when we sing, it doesn't necessarily have to sound in a certain way, but if it comes from the heart, it really start resonating in the body and the space around us, and we can like channel that energy into something that we want to create, or just spread it into the world.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it's the power of Sanskrit. You see, Sanskrit is not a descriptive language. It's a energetically based language. So it's an invitation for us, all of us. When we chant, we're all chanting in language we don't understand, we don't know. You know, what we do know is these sounds, and the collection of these different sound bites, and they're refined sound bites. That's what mantras are, you know. And they were discovered, like, I don't know, 6,000-7,000 years ago. You know, in the Vedas they spoke about the Gayatri mantra, you know. And so it was, for me, it must have been like these, almost like the scientists were looking at, how does sound affect us? We know sound affects us. How does it? And they went deeply into that. Was their technology, you know. The body and sound, that's what they had. So they went deep into it, and they started to discover that certain sounds created certain energetic responses in the body and in the brain, and and they started to refine it to a point where they knew that this sound and this sound and this sound put together and this sound put together creates an energetic response. And they also figured out how many times, how many cycles do you have to chant this before it actually starts to resonate. And it's 108, and that's your first mantra. That's how the mantras are. They all carry, there's mantras for every conceivable, part of life. There's mantras for sacred lovemaking, like there's mantras for removing energetic blocks when you feel your life is stuck in some way. There's a Ganesh mantra that helps to move that energy and reduce those kind of energetic blocks that we feel. There's mantras even for finding a life partner, and for animals and children. So but basically they all lead to the same place, which is what we've been talking about, which is meditation and inner peace. They open the door. Deva loves it because she, like she'll tell you, she can sing her way into bliss and meditation, and that's the benefit. And I think, to be honest with you, if we were singing jazz or rhythm and blues or something, I don't think I could still be doing this after so long. But the mantras, they sustain us. Like it's amazing. I can finish a concert and be more energized than I was at the start, and that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps us going. We're 30 years together now, me and Deva.
Wow.
It's amazing. And she was only 20. She was 20 when we met. I was 43 already, We had a big age. We have a big age gap, and it's just an amazing journey for me to help her and support her in this beautiful journey that she's on. It's an honor for me. She wasn't singing when we met.
Okay, that's
No,
amazing. And how was
she
that?
Deva was studying bodywork in the ashram in India. She's studying when we met because she gave me a shiatsu session in the ashram, and we became friends after the session, And then later I found out that she'd studied craniosacral therapy and reflexology and massage. So she was a healer with her hands, and my job in the ashram was to coordinate the meditation music. So after we became friends and she started to sing with me, and she said, "Wow, you're singing good. You can sing." I didn't know she had a mother who was a classical musician and a father who liked to bring music into the house with his drumming and things like this. So she had a musical background, but she hadn't used it. All her creativity had gone into bodywork and her hands and understanding the body. And then when she started to sing, we found that she had healing properties in her voice, and it was a great gift. And all I had to do was to, gently help her to be able to share that, in a not just on the bed in my room with me, but actually with other people, and how to sing on a microphone and all the stuff that you learn when you're young. And so she had a good apprenticeship in the ashram because we knew Osho had taught us what music really was, what spiritual music was, and what it isn't. So we had a good beautiful way of beginning our life together. Yeah.
And how did that journey evolve into what you're doing today? Because now you're like touring all over the world, and everyone in the yoga world knows you, and how did it evolve into that?
Very slowly, very, very organically, you know. There was never a feeling of frustration or anything like that. It began when we discovered that we liked to sing together, and when we discovered, wow, to make music together is the same as making love. It's a tantric experience that we entered into when we sang together. You know, it was an expression of love through a non-verbal communication. You know, and it has its own physicality because you're using your voice and you're breathing deeply and you're sharing energy. You know, and then when you're sharing the mantras and the sacred songs, it begins to feel just like making love, you know. So we just we shared in the ashram, and eventually we left India after a few years, and we just wanted to really share what we'd been given in India. So we just used to do these little workshops for people because I knew that I knew the power of singing. I'd learnt that. That was one of the obvious lessons that I'd learnt in the ashram. So my thing was, as a musician, when I left India, was I just want to help people to open their voices, because I know if you sing, you will heal. And if you sing, you breathe deeper. If you sing, that there's an access point into meditation and into your own inner being. You know, I knew these things to be like a kind of a law, you know. So that's what I wanted to do. And Deva came with me, and two of us went around sharing our voice workshops with Osho's meditation centers first around Italy. We lived in Italy for a while, and used to travel around there and all the meditation centers, and then up to Germany, and then here and there, you know, and then slowly more people came, and we saw, oh, this time we go back there and the place would be full, and you know, and it was at a time when nobody was singing mantras, or there were no mantra singers back then like there is now. It was not a fashion; it was a spiritual practice, you know. So it just kept growing in its own way. Meanwhile, we just continued to do what we do, and people would come and join us, and you know, and then the CDs started to get people's attention, and then the CDs suddenly we were getting invitations. Can you come to this festival? Can you do this? Can you do that? So we just carried on saying yes, and somewhere along the road we met Manoj, who's our good beloved friend and my son. He feels like my son now. We've been together 15 years, and he's from Kathmandu, Nepal, and he's a Bansuri maestro. Bansuri is the Indian bamboo flute, and he joined us, and that was just an incredible time. The three of us traveled all around the world together for 15 years, just the three of us. And you know, and it just becomes like I was saying about the tantric thing. It's like suddenly there's three of us, and it's another energy, and it's another expression, and he just fit perfectly in the bed, you know. It was like all the three of us just had an understanding energetically of what we were doing musically, and how we could support each other, and where the flow was, and where the groove is in the actual music, you know. And it just carried on. More and more people carried on coming, and we just carried on doing what we'd always done, you know. Like Deva's been singing the Gayatri Mantra for, well, she's 50 this year, so you know, she's been singing the Gayatri Mantra for 50 years, you know, on and on, you
Yeah.
know. So it's just in her blood. And for me, it was like, oh, now I've been chanting it for 20 years. And Deva and I have just been blessed with this sacred collection of refined sound bites that we call a mantra. You know, Gayatri Mantra is an invocation to the light. You know, it's the sun. It's the light that, you know, that shines on us all. It's an inner light. It's like Osho say, your inner exploration is as vast as the outer one into space. You have so much to learn and enjoy. You know.
And this mantra is actually very powerful, and as all of your mantras, because I usually don't get stuck on any songs or lyrics like that, but sometimes these mantras that you're singing, it just pop up. Like it can be
Yeah.
like repeatedly within me. Maybe I'm cooking or I'm just walking
That's it.
around, yeah, and it just shows up. So it's really powerful, and it's healing, like you said. It's really, really healing. And I know that you have also, because one thing when I started on my journey, maybe it was 8 years ago, I started with self-awareness and also healing. I got into epigenetics. Actually, I love the work that Dr. Bruce Lipton has done, and I know that you have also worked with him and on how music and sound does heal and change, because I always say that sounds change our physical matter. Like it even if we can't see the sound, it physically shapes us. So how has that work been going, and what is the findings?
Well, it's an ongoing thing. You know, Bruce Lipton is a genius, and just as you mention his name, it brings a smile to my face, because he's really a really wild heart, you know. And we did for a while, and you can ask Dave about this, but we did for a while speak to many different doctors and different PhD people in different fields, asking them, what do you know about mantras? You know, what do you know about sound? You know, maybe you could throw some light on it from a scientific point of view, you know. And that's what Bruce can do. Bruce go, oh, of course, blah 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 blah, you know. And it's basically what we've learned ourselves is that if you sing, one thing that's very clear is if you sing, you don't feel fear. You can't be scared and sing at the same time. So if you're feeling fearful, or if you're feeling isolated, if you have your mantra and sing it, it will move you through the block. It will move you through. And that's another thing that we've heard, you know, all these years. People who are close to suicide have written to us and said, you saved my life with your mantras, you know, and things like this. So we know that if there's a certain physiological thing that happens when you sing and you breathe, and because, like I say, we're not singing, you know, I love you, baby, why did you leave me, or something, you know. We're concerned with something that's beyond all that emotion. It's deeper. The mantras and the singing together is deeper. And then the invitation is, wow, I'm going to invite my friend, and then the two of you sing together the mantra. You have a meditation for an hour where you say, we're going to sing these 3 mantras from Deva's album, and we will sit quietly in meditation. Then we will play the mantra, we will sing it, then we will sit in silence again, and then we would have another mantra and we sing it, and you do this for 1 hour, and you've had a beautiful meditation, and you've opened your voice, and you've connected because you're breathing together. That's the magic thing. When we have like a few thousand people all singing together, what's underneath that is everybody's breathing in the same rhythm, because it's just a natural way of when you sing, you breathe in a certain way, and basically we're all moving in a synchronistic journey together without intellectualizing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've experienced it in your gatherings that it's really powerful. I mean, we can do it in a class 10 people, but when we're sitting there hundreds of people and we are all almost in the same intention as well. We have the same intention of being there, and everyone co-creates, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to be just like individual separated all the time. We're supposed to like co-create. And it also I mean, there's science that sound and intention shapes matter molecules, and I'm thinking about cymatics as well, like like I think my father said this to me as well, that I mean, he said everything is made up of sound and frequency. There would be no form or shape without sound or frequency. So yeah, it's powerful.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's really amazing. You should ask Deva about, they did these tests with the Gayatri mantra and this organic gold that our friend creates these mantra beads from organic gold, and he inscribes the mantra in the gold and then seals it. And I've got one I wear around my neck all the time, so does Deva. And they're beautiful. They're very strong energy. They're like little golden, a little golden tube kind of thing. But anyway, they in Switzerland, they checked this with water, and they checked how it actually changed the molecule of the water. So you should talk to Deva, because she's very. Deva's much more scientific than me, although she'll tell you she's not a pundit and not a scholar. She knows quite a lot, a lot more than. I think she's just. Are you coming in to talk to us? Here she comes now.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm sending you so much love and blessings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I wish you all the best with your sharing and your life, and just keep sharing your light. That's all we can do, huh?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, Sherry. Namaste.
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 Namaste, Deva. I'm so happy to connect with you as well. This conversation has been so beautiful, and I'm excited to continue with you as well. Welcome.
So nice. And I love your accent. I love the Swedish accent. So
Thank you so much.
I think it's one of the best accents.
Oh, thank you. And I mean, the first time I saw you physically was here in Sweden, so I'm really grateful. And you touched many lives and minds as well in many different times of my life. And your mantras are always around me and within me. So I'm really, really happy to connect with you. And thank you so much for taking the time. And
it's a pleasure. It's such a beautiful evening here in Australia. It's so peaceful and quiet, and just perfect evening to share.
Oh, great. Yeah, and here it's morning time, so it's a beautiful day. And I always start by asking, I asked before as well, but I want to ask you, how do you stay mindful and present in your life?
I'm practicing. I'm working on it. It's a moment to moment affair. It's and it's I mean, it's a very interesting question, because obviously the way to not be mindful in the moment is to be either in the past or the future. And I realized just a few days ago that I'm actually never in the past. I actually never think of the past. I do think often ahead, you know, I plan ahead a little, like next step, and then I realized actually it's okay. It's just taking care, you know, like preparing the right things. Still, sometimes I'm appalled and shocked how I've done something and have no recollection of doing things, like when I realize, wow, you really were completely not in the moment at this point. It doesn't happen so often, but it does happen. So that's a wake-up call. But really, it's mainly my life is such that I enjoy everything I do so much that I am in the moment doing it because I'm enjoying it, you know, like I enjoy all the practical aspects of life and of our work, and obviously all the aspects of sharing the mantras and singing and chanting and all these things. They're just so delightful, you know, that I love being in them, and so it's easy to be in the moment. And still, it's a practice, you know. Still, there's always the wish in me that I could be more present, you know, present all the time.
And that's the probably our evolution here as well, to learn and then to constantly grow. And if everything would be easy, we wouldn't have that evolution within ourselves. So I think it applies to all of us. And I know that mantras has been such a huge part of your life since being in the womb. Maybe you can share your relationship to mantras and how it all started.
Yeah, it's like you said, I was born into a family that was really colored by Eastern spirituality more than by Western spirituality. Although both my parents really went deeply into Christianity as well. My mom was a church choir leader, and she grew up very Christian. And my father, being a mystical artist, painter and sculptor and drum maker and everything, he was really the driving force to look east, you know, and to look inside and use meditation and yoga and mantra. But he also looked into all different paths and discovered them and studied them very thoroughly. So also he had a Christian phase, and not even just phase, like really an immersion into Christianity to find the essence of that. But really his big love was mantra and yoga and Zen and meditation. And so when there was just a natural thing for him to share with his kids, you know, to sing mantra as a good night song, you know. Every night, either my mom or he would come to my bed and we would sing the Gayatri mantra in this particular tune 3 times. Om Bhurvubhasva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. And we just sing that 3 times, and then I would sing, and then I would say Satchit Ananda, Satchit Ananda, Satchit Ananda, which means truth, consciousness, bliss. This is our true nature, truth, consciousness, bliss. And then, you know, then actually more often I asked my mom, can I sing myself to sleep tonight? And then I would just sing and just then fall asleep. And so that was the end of every day. But then there were different parts of the day, or when we would walk, we would maybe chant, or there was an evening that my parents did where they sang and chanted the Bhagavad Gita. So it was just very much around, and I didn't know what really meant. I didn't know about where it came from, that it was Indian. I didn't know that other people just knew the Gayatri mantra. I didn't know it was called the Gayatri mantra. I was a kid, you know, growing up, and this was something weird my parents did with me, and I knew it was different, and it wasn't what my friends were doing, you know. So I didn't really especially appreciate it or love it or anything. It was just something that we did, and as soon as I could find my own path around 8 or 9, 10 years old, I first wanted to become Christian and get myself baptized and everything, and then but then was introduced to Osho, and it felt like, oh yeah, that's my home. So I felt so immediately so at home in Osho's world. There was no question, you know. It was just a complete natural. This is my tribe. This is my family, and Osho was never a traditionalist, so there was not. There was no mantra chanting in Osho's ashram. The Indian sannyasins, Osho sannyasins, they would sing kirtan, but you know, but everybody would bring their own music from wherever they came from, you know. So it wasn't like we were all trying to be Indian or trying to be traditional Indian. So it was very, very international. And so basically mantras weren't really part of my life with Osho for the first, you know, until my late 20s, basically, which is when I was already singing with Miten for 7 years. I think Miten told you a little bit that he kind of, he was really my mentor, and he discovered that there was some potential in my voice and that we would sound good together. And then we traveled around for 7 years and sang and played. And only after 7 years, the mantras came back into my life, and I realized, wow, what a gift I had been given as a child, you know. And then we went deeply into mantra, and Miten also found them and found the depth of sharing them, and the how they just bring us into silence so deeply and so effortlessly, and then that became also part of our sharing. But when we first met, for the first 7 years, we shared, you know, Miten sacred songs and chants from all over different, you know, cultures, like we still do, you know, because we love that it's open and it's inclusive, you know. It's not like we're not Hindus or you know, but I gravitate towards Sanskrit. That feels really natural to speak it and to sing. But I also love, you know, we also sing African chants and Sufi chants and mantras, and we there's the common red thread, you know, the sacredness.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look at all different cultures and tribes, I mean, the singing is a red thread through everywhere in the world. So it's just different ways, and it's all it can be devotional, it can be intentional, and it can be here in Sweden in the old shamanistic traditions and healing modalities. There was women called völvor, and these women used to go from village to village. This I think was even before the Viking time, and the way they would perform healing was that the völvor would be like standing around a person that was either wanting to know something or wanted healing, and they would sing. Like that was the tool for healing, for also connecting to the spirit world. It would be singing and getting into this trance state. So I can just understand how you, since you're also traveling around, how you see that common thread in all cultures. And it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. Yeah, and we talked about this how mantras are, it's mantras are medicine, they're healing, and we started talking a little bit about the epigenetics and actually how mantras and sound shifts matter and the science behind that. So it's not something that we just experience. I mean, you could still go in and listen to a mantra, not understand it, not maybe from an ego point of view even enjoying it, but it will probably create a shift. And I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, it's I always like to say it's like taking an aspirin or something, that you don't need to know what's in it, and you don't need to know what the science was to get to creating it, and you don't need to know how it works. But you have to take it, and that's with the mantras. They are scientific sound formulas, scientific sounds that are put together in a certain formation, which becomes a word. And then, of course, to make it easier for us to relate to it, it gets a form, as in a deity or in a god or goddess, form, certain a certain mood that is created by that form. Like if you see, for example, Ganesh with a big belly and the elephant head and the trunk and riding on a rat or whatever, like that it does something to your subconscious, and you realize, oh, that's the mood of this mantra, mood of the sound Ganesh. But we need that as humans to bring it closer to us, to understand it better. But but our experience is again and again with animals and with autistic children and with children in general, with people who have no idea what they're listening to, that mantras work if you know about them, if you believe in them or not, or if you even know that you're listening to a mantra or not. And so many times people write to us, it's changed my life, I just heard it and I didn't know what it was, and some transformation happened, or some spark happened, or even people tell us they were close to taking their own lives, and somehow through a mantra they saw the light again, or they saw enough light to keep going. And that's just so precious. We often feel like, oh, if it was just for this one person, our life would have been worth it. And it's an honor to be invited and welcomed, and to be singing and chanting with people around the world, and also to be in that vulnerable space. Like, people come to our evenings, as you've experienced, and they close their eyes, and then we sit in silence, and it's such a vulnerable space to be in, and it's such an open space, and it's what an honor that people come and bring that openness and trust that they know we will respect that, and we will do our best to enhance it and to celebrate it. I often feel such awe and amazement at the people who come, that they are so ready to sing and just let go and be together, and then come in that deep silence together, where nobody moves, nobody shuffles, nobody coughs, and we can just relax.
Yeah, it's a beautiful experience. I really enjoy it, and it's it's just powerful to be in a space like that. I would really recommend the listeners to go and see you. I will share the links to your website, because you are traveling around the world, and just co-creating together with you in that beautiful space. And I've been actually on my Instagram I have written about mantras before and the power of sound. And I'm thinking about, because many people, like usually my answers, if someone is asking, what should I do with this and how should I do that? And I always say, just meditate on it. And now I would also say, maybe use a mantra to help you to guide yourself into the question or the answer, because I can't answer anything for you. And how would you say, or which mantra would be easy to start with if you've never chanted mantras, or never been to a yoga class and chanted anything? Is there any mantra or mantras that you would recommend?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend the one that I think everybody knows, even if somebody's never ever heard much of mantra or heard anything about mantra, but I think everybody knows Om.
Yeah.
I can't imagine in this day and age that there's anybody that we who would listen to this, or we know would not have heard once in their life about Om. And Om is it's such an amazing sound, you know. It's O and M, but it's also, you can kind of stretch it out into A, U, and M, Aum, you know, which is actually the three sounds that it's made of. And my favorite translation of it is the cosmic yes, which our friend Shamdas came up with. Because it's a seed sound. It's a seed sound, which means it cannot be translated. It's an energy sound that is a seed for the whole manifestation to blossom and to come into being. And if you have an Om on your out breath, like letting the Om, taking a deep breath and then letting the Om travel all the way till the end of your breath, giving yourself enough time for the sound as well, because that's really important too. You'll feel so different after 3 Oms. You'll be amazed how different you feel. It's instant.
Yeah.
And really, that's all we need, really. I think Om is enough, you know. And then, of course, you if you want to try out more, if you're adventurous, Om Shanti is peace. You know, that's a beautiful mantra and easy to remember, Om Shanti. And then, you know, always I say the Gayatri mantra, if you're up for that. That's the most ancient, the most powerful, as it invokes the divine light, enlightenment, you know, just the kind of awakening of our whole existence, you know. So that's a bit more involved. It has a bit more words and stuff. But somehow I feel they especially the Gayatri mantra seems to be so universal that people really learn it very fast.
Yeah. And just listening to you when you sing it really starts integrating, and as I said before, sometimes it can show up without me even like thinking about it. Maybe I'm walking somewhere and then I hear it, so it's it really goes in deep. And even if you look at the translation and all this, it doesn't matter. It's like just hearing it and listening to it, it's and singing it, it's really beautiful. And the Om is, to me, it's always, I start my classes with Om and finish with Om Shanti 3 times, because it really is easy. I say that it is the sound of creation. It's something that has shown in research that it actually helps us de-stress. It changes the connections in the brain. It really has a beautiful effect. And we just have to, because I teach also, I'm a doula, so I also teach women to practice before birth. And one of the things is the voice. Like, how do you use the voice during labor to give birth? And one of the things is this deep, like just deep breath out with the sound, and the Om, I think, is really powerful to use in that scenario as well. It's like this,
beautiful.
this original source of power within us. So it's really beautiful. And the Gayatri mantra is so beautiful, and it feels like you are created to sing it. So it's like you channel it so beautifully, and it's up to you. But if you want to sing it, it would be so beautiful if you would a part of it, or just the whole
Yeah, I'd love
mantra.
to.
Oh, it would be so beautiful to hear it.
Om Bhurmuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurmuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat.
Thank you. That was beautiful. As usual. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so exciting. You guys are doing so much work. And what is your main mission with the work that you're doing? Your goal, your like leading star?
A goal is a bit of a strange concept for me, but I realized it's just all about love for me, you know, about sharing love and being connected and being in community and being in joy, and a joyful meditation, a meditation that includes celebration, and it includes the colors of the heart, the being touched in the heart, and letting the heart take us into a silent space. You know, the heart opens through the singing and the beautiful music, and then you're just so ready and so joyful and so happy to just be silent together. You know, you're creating this feel together. So it's really about being together in the community, and a way to share love beyond words and beyond personality, beyond social kind of interaction, you know, just straight to the point. We come to sing together, and that's so precious.
Beautiful. And very lastly, would you like to share what's coming up now and where you will be, maybe, if people want to find you and the work that you do?
Yeah, I mean, this year we do have a certain migration pattern that stays pretty much the same every year, but this year we changed it a little. So we got be in Costa Rica now for our programs there that we do every March, the Gayatri Festival and Tantra Mantra, and I just leave it like that because on our website you can find all the information.
Yeah.
And then we go to South America. We have a beautiful South American tour lined up that I'm very excited about. And I always love being there and sharing the mantras there in Brazil and Argentina and Chile and Colombia and Uruguay for the first time. And yeah, it's very, very, I love it. And then we have a fantastic program in Peru that happens the last time this year. It's very special. It's with Alberto Violdo, who is a shaman from, he's Cuban, but he has worked a lot with the Peruvian shamans, and he has his own shaman school for shamanism, 4 Winds, and we do a program in the Sacred Valley for 1 week. And that's June 7 to 14. That's very, very special because he invites the shamans from the high Andes to do ceremony with us in all the temples, in all the sacred sites. And we sing and chant every afternoon, and it's just an incredible immersion into the sacredness of the land there, and the mountains, the Andes, and the earth. That's very, very beautiful. And then we go to Corfu, we do our programs there again, the Gayatri Festival, Tantra Mantra. There's such beautiful events. They're already booked out, but another year, if somebody wants to join, it's just really incredibly nourishing and just an amazing time. And then we have a beautiful little trip to America on the East Coast and Canada, and then we have another beautiful trip around Europe for a European tour in October, which leads us to, 17 different cities and all around Europe. But we won't come to Stockholm this year, so we won't see it Stockholm, but we'll be somewhere else.
Okay. Oh, that's amazing. It's really beautiful how you're spreading this, and we all need it. So thank you so much for the work that you do. It's really deeply healing, enlightening, everything. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm super grateful for your presence here in this conversation, and I will share all of your links in the show notes, and I want to wish you all the best blessings and love, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Shireen, and you're such a beautiful being. I don't know, you just sound like you're the most loving, beautiful person, so I'm so happy that I got to talk to you. What a beautiful voice you have, and I hope we get to meet somewhere down the road.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much
Have
love.
a beautiful day.
You
yes,
too.
all love to you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode resonates with you and that you can take this information and knowledge and wisdom that they have shared and integrate it into your life and your practice. Mantras are truly beautiful, easy, free tools to tap into something deeper within you, to manifest, to set intentions, to affirm. It's so powerful. So try to connect with your voice, your breath, and just let it flow through you. You have it in you. And we usually end the conversation with a deep breath. So this week we will end the conversation and this podcast episode with an Om. So let's take a deep breath in together to chant Om. Namaste.